Sunrise spot, and a bit of a tragedy has struck. It seems that we're a little bit too early for the jacaranda season in this part of Queensland. So what I thought would be a beautiful jacaranda tree in bloom, as it turns out, just behind me right here, is actually a jacaranda tree just covered in moss and just about to bloom. Now looking back, I think when I went to originally scout this tree, it was either late November or early December, so I reckon we're still a little bit early. I'm going to have to revisit this location and possibly get some good photos of a tree in bloom. But for now, we're going to have to make the most of what we have. When we were driving in, you could probably see from the B-roll I had just before, the light was proper kicking off. And there's still a little bit of nice light going into the valley just off in the distance. So I reckon I should be able to pull out a telephoto and maybe get some interesting compositions with that. There's even a little bit of fog I can see off in the distance in the valley. But it's a proper nice spot either way, so I'm gonna make the most of it with the sunrise we have. Found a pretty interesting composition, a little better than what I was expecting to get this morning. But I was just throwing on telephoto lens and tried to make the most of that little bit of fog we have coming up from the valley. So I just pointed it off in the distance, down at the valley, and I actually like the composition more than I expected. So I'll show you what I've got here. And I've actually turned the preview into black and white. I had it on there from another shoot that I did the other day, but I had the preview on black and white, and I'm pretty happy with how it looks in that actually, but I'll put it into color and see what that looks like as well. That's probably all for this location. I don't think there's going to be much more here. I'll do a quick walk around, might find something. There could be a little bit of a view that opens up on the right side here, but I'm not too sure about it. It's getting a bit late in the morning, and it's probably about time for us to actually start our hike through the Albert River. So either I'll be taking another photo soon, or we'll be heading up into Lamington. I think I've just found another little shot. It's not really a conventional composition, but I sort of like the layering in it. So I'll show you what I've done, or I'll try and show you. I'm going handheld, so I can't really do this very easily. But pretty much what I've done is I've zoomed into, I'd say, probably about 300 millimeters of the lens. And I've just focused in on those cliff faces that you can just see in the middle of the frame off in the distance. And I've really tried to isolate it. I'm even thinking a square format for the shot. And I really just want to emphasize the layering and just the light that's going on between the cliff faces and really defining them. Because I think there's a really nice contrast between the front face and the one behind that and the one behind that as well. There's just a nice layering with that morning light coming through, especially with the clouds above it. I think I like that sort of white background above the photo rather than the one that I have, or rather than what a clear sky would look like. Just gonna smash out the shot with this one, and I'll put it up for you and let me know what you think. I think it'll turn out a little bit nicer than the one that I took before, but you never know, never know. And then after that, we'll be in Lamington.
Like, that's all, you know, because you just don't shoot film, and only film people know how to talk shit properly. And I think that you just really need to get to the bottom of, like, okay, how do I talk shit properly without shooting film? Just because, like, it's such an art, you know, that, ooh, mossy lot, that's cool. It's such an art to, like, how to talk shit without shooting film, you know what I mean? Because, like, I wouldn't know because I shoot film, but you obviously have that background of, like, you're just a bit of a bitch. So I think that you just can't, like, restrain yourself with the fact that, okay, you know, I don't shoot film, so I can't really talk shit properly. And just because you are a bitch, you have to factor that in as well. Anyway, I'm glad for a hike today. It's pretty nice.
So we finished the drive, the sun's come up. A little bit of a failure at the jacaranda tree, but we're finally back here in Lamington National Park. Going to be doing the Albert River circuit now, which means we have about a 2.5 hour walk until we get to our first waterfall. But after that long, miserable few hour walk we're going to have to do, it's going to be really nice. Should have, I'd say, probably 10 amazing waterfalls we'll be photographing. But really, I'm going for the forest scenery. You know, back in the day when I first went to Lamington, I'd probably take photos of those waterfalls, and that would be the only thing I'd focus on. But over time, I've started to like the trees a little bit more. So hopefully we'll find something nice. But I'll be back in probably a few hours if I ever find something, or if we get to that first waterfall. And I'll probably be a lot more tired than I was now. So we're getting close to the trailhead for the Albert River circuit. I'd say we're about an hour in now, and hasn't really been much exciting happening. Seen a few hikers along the way, but anyways, I was going around a bend and I spotted some nice trees off in the distance, so I decided it's been a minute, been walking for a little while, might as well bring out the camera, see if we can get a good composition out of it. So threw on the telephoto lens and I've pointed at the trees, and I think it actually looks pretty nice. So I'll show you what I'm working with here. Just have these trees right off in the distance, just up the hill. And I really like the way that they just sort of form a V pattern. And when I put that in the frame, I think it balances out really nicely. I'll show you what I have on the frame here. So I just have these 3 branches just heading off in different directions, with just a little one passing up in the middle right here. And then I also have just a nice hanging plant there as well. It's not really a conventional composition, just like the last one that I shot, but I think it looks pretty nice. And on top of this one, I'm just shooting now without a polarizer. I'm going to go ahead and take this shot. Then I'm going to try and take another one of these with a polarizer. And I'm also going to give it a try with the infrared filter that I have, because I haven't used that in a while. There's not much wind, so I might be able to get a decent shot with that one. But if I do try that, it's probably going to be easily a minute exposure, I'd say, because that infrared light takes a long time to capture. But I'll go ahead and throw up probably the polarized and the unpolarized image, and maybe an infrared, but we'll see what comes up. So yeah, I'll throw them up. So the one gripe that I have about the Sigma 100 to 400 is the fact that when you try and put a filter in it, it's just so difficult, because it's like proper recessed inside the lens. I go to screw it in, I think it's screwed in, and then it just falls. And now I have a filter which looks like someone's taken a big dump on it. So I guess no polarized shots today with the long lens. We're gonna go straight to infrared. So we made it to the Albert River trailhead and we started our descent down into the valley. As I expected, because I've done this a few times, it's just been really a whole lot of nothing. But we turned a corner and we found a pretty nice scene in front of us with a little bit of fog just poking through. And now that I've actually picked up the Osmo and I've started recording, that fog is gone. But luckily, I took a photo before I started recording. So I'll put that one up now. It should be pretty nice, but I'm also, right now, because there's a little bit more light coming through, I might even give infrared a try again. I don't know how it's turned out for the previous one, but I have a good feeling. I think both of them will either look nice as black and whites, or I might even do some interesting work with the color to see what I can come up with that one. Because it would be pretty cool to see the trees with like pink leaves or something like that, but I don't know, whatever I'll manage. So I'll show you what I'm looking at right here and try and give you an idea of what it was like before. What I have here is just these 2 trees here. There was fog all behind them with none of this light here passing through. It was just a very subdued, almost creepy, melancholy looking scene. And I just zoomed right in with the telephoto lens and I came up with a shot looking a bit like this. And I was just trying to frame it up and use that little fern in the bottom as a bit of a interesting anchoring point which would connect the 2 trees, and then I have those nice black branches which would go out the side of them. But I'll show you what the final edited one looks like now, and I'll also put the infrared in once I take that one. hopefully it turns out quite nice. So I feel like I have to jump in on this image just because it really wasn't what I expected, and even looking back at it now, I really don't feel like the composition worked for this one. I was under the impression with my infrared images that I'd be getting at least some color in them, but as it turns out, they were all entirely black and white. So for the rest of the video, you can expect some really high contrast black and white, but back to the video. So we made it to the first waterfall and it's looking pretty nice. Took us about 2.5 hours to get down here with stops, so it was a little bit faster than I expected. We were just walking the whole way. But it's definitely worth the walk. It was nice to see this waterfall again. It's probably one of my favorites in this track. So, as I've done in the past, probably going to hike a little bit up the waterfall. Rocks are a little bit slippery, so see how far we can get. But I'm probably going to end up taking a composition similar to the stuff that I've taken in the past. I might break out the infrared filter, because it would be nice to photograph a waterfall in infrared light. I don't know how it would turn out. Might turn out bad, might turn out good, but either way, go up, see what happens. So it's probably the result of a little bit of a lack of creativity. Going up this falls, I've sort of resorted to taking a photo of the exact same composition I've taken just about every time I've been to this falls. So I'm probably going to end up with, I suppose, 3 of the same photos from different times of the year. I guess this time, the little difference I can make is I can try and shoot it with an infrared as well. I'll show you what I have framed up at the moment, just so you have an idea of what I'm working with here, and the photo that I've found nice enough to take quite a few times over and over again. What we have here for our first falls is just some lovely cascading falls. They go up, I think, 3 or 4 tiers, and then even they follow the waterfall all the way down here. But at the moment, what I have framed up here, just this composition right here, a very simple, basic landscape. Pretty much just pointed at the waterfall, put the waterfall in the center, and snap the photo. In terms of composition, what I've done with this one is I've just tried to balance out the nice white rock we have here, the angled log here, and the other angled tree which has fallen down. And I've tried to make it in a way that the white rock in the frame doesn't draw too much attention to itself, but it's just sort of a minor element in the frame. I really didn't want this white rock here to draw all your attention away from the waterfall, because that would be a bit of a shame since it's so nice. I'm going to snap this photo now, 0.8 seconds, f16, ISO 1000, just so I can get a little bit of that texture in the water. And then I'm going to go ahead and throw an infrared filter on it, and we'll see what it does. Might do something cool. I don't know. Never tried. Oh, there's a little bit of light coming in. Just going to try and capture this one now. Perfect timing. And I will put up on top of what I just took before this photo as well, whichever turns out right. That's the one that you'll see. Made it down to the second waterfall of the day, and I took a little slip going up. Absolutely stacked it on some huge rocks on the way up this creek. I mean, it is just slippery as all hell here. Had to come all the way up from the track way over there, up this entire rock field to get to the waterfall we're at now. I've already taken a photo of this waterfall before, and I pretty much copied the exact same composition that I had before. Crazy film guy has already gotten into my frame, but it's all good. I've already took the shot. So what I framed up is I just had the 3 waterfalls in frame, just set a little bit to the side so it's a bit more balanced. And I shot this one at 1/6 of a second, f10, ISO 200. And I always have like these falls. They're probably one of my favorite ones in the track besides the previous one. I think I have one more favorite, which will be close to the end. So excited to finally go back and take a photo of that one. But same idea with this. Going to shoot this one in infrared and see how it looks compared to shot with a polarizer. and I will put those ones up for you now, and let me know what you think. So we just found another waterfall along the track, just about to stop for lunch, but decided to stop at this one first. Again, it's another waterfall I've photographed, but I'm trying to take the scene in a different way this time. Last time I took this one, I got really up close to the waterfall, same wide angle lens, and I tried to do a square comp just having the waterfall in the shot. But now I've sort of stepped back, I'm trying to capture it more as a scene rather than as an individual waterfall. And I'll show you exactly what I'm working with here, and then I'll show you what I got on the camera. So this is the scene that I have here ahead in front of me. And what I'm going to be doing with this composition is I'm going to frame it pretty much exactly as you see on the screen right now. But I'm going to cut this part of the frame out here, and I'm maybe even going to crop it in a little bit more on the sides. And just try and really focus in on this branch here and its connection to the trees, and then sort of the C shape that it creates with those rocks right there. And then inside of that, I just have the waterfall very nicely framed, just as a little small accent to the entire scene. I think that'll work out pretty nicely. I've got it with the polarizer on. I'll show you exactly what I have on the back of my camera right now. Just get that one to focus there. So this is what I have framed up. Pretty much the exact scene that I showed you before. And I'm planning on maybe doing either a square or a 4x5 crop on this one, just to get rid of that distracting white branch on the left, and to maybe move it in a bit more on the right side. But I'm going to snap this shot now, hit the shutter button, make sure that 5-second timer's on because it's going to be really shaky if it isn't. 2 seconds, F10, ISO 100, and I'll throw up whatever I have, and I'm also going to try and bang out another infrared because I've been really enjoying that today. Even just for the black and white look, but I will hopefully be showing you guys some color ones. Alrighty, just stopping here for lunch. Been on the trail, I'd say, about 6 hours. I'm guessing it's around 12:30 now is my guess. And started this one at 6:30 this morning after shooting the jacaranda tree, which didn't turn out too well. But yeah, just stopped here for lunch. We're at the, if my memory serves me correct, the second last waterfall of the trip. It's going to be pretty relaxed from here on, I'd say. Not too much to photograph I'm expecting. There is one nice Antarctic beech tree down the way that I'd like to take a photograph of again, but an infrared just because I have so many photos of that one. And after that, we got a little sunset hike planned. Going to be a, I'm guessing, a 5 or 6 kilometer trip out to that one, and we're going to be taking photos from one of the lookouts in Lamington, one of the lesser known lookouts. So it should be a pretty nice time. We've been sort of in and out of clouds all day, so I don't know what to expect with sunset, but hopefully we get something interesting. Hopefully I regret not bringing the drone, because it would be nice if we got some good color and a good sunset. But just gotta hope for the best. Should be taking maybe 1 or 2 more photos for this, but we'll see what happens. So it seems old mate Michael over here, other Michael, is not very coordinated today. After us sitting down just to have lunch, he goes across the creek, slips, gets one of his feet wet. You know, that's all good, that's no issue. Then as he gets up to take his camera out to take a photo, what does he do but pretty much throw his entire bag
went in the creek.
into the creek, and on top of that, he fishes it out of the creek by getting his dry foot all the way in the creek. And now this poor guy is gonna have to walk back, I'd probably say a good 8 or 10 kilometers, soaked gear, soaked feet, all the way back to O'Reilly's.
It is not my day today.
And he did not bring any spare socks. So that's my lesson to you guys. This is what I've learned already. I've made this mistake before in the past. Always bring a dry pair of socks when you go hiking in the rainforest. And don't drop your gear in a creek, even if it's weather sealed. Now, let's get some photos. So after that whole fiasco, it's time to get down to business, and I found myself probably my first composition. It's a waterfall I've seen. I've done this whole circuit. I've taken photos of these waterfalls so many times, but this time I'll try to take a different composition on the one I normally go with this waterfall. I've tried to find a bit of a landscape one. So what I've got in the frame at the moment is I have this plant here and this one with the dead branch connecting the two of them, and then the waterfall up in the top left of the frame. And just to keep your eye interested in the frame, I've also included this tree which angles into the composition. And using a wide angle lens for this shot, I've sort of been able to use the warping effect of that to sort of create a circular shape to it, where you have the curve of the ridgeline moving up over the image. And I think it'll turn out quite nicely. I'm actually pretty happy with this composition compared to the ones that I've got from here before. I think this is a bit different. I think it'll work pretty nicely. And it might even make a pretty nice infrared, as the theme of today seems to be. Hit the shutter button on this one, and we're going to be shooting right now at 1.3 of a second, f11, ISO, I'd say around 800, maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less. But it doesn't really matter too much for me because I'm going to be using a denoise AI to bring out all the noise anyway after the fact. So go ahead and take this shot now, and yeah, capture this amazing waterfall. This definitely is my favorite waterfall on this circuit. Definitely hands down, I love this waterfall. Just finished off the last photo of the infrared in this waterfall, and we've already gone through the first Sony battery. One gripe with having the A7R2, its batteries are absolutely tiny. I've gone through one battery and I think they have probably, well, you know how many photos I've shot. It's not been many. I mean, in total, I'd say it's probably been less than 40. You've probably seen even less than that. So I'm glad that I have 4 batteries, because that's a big yikes. Alrighty, I got a feeling that this is going to be the last waterfall photo of the day. Normally I'm not very inspired by that last waterfall that we're going to be hitting, but I've tried to be a little bit different with this composition compared to what I normally get. So normally, when I'm taking a photo of this waterfall, I'll just sort of get in a 16:9 this little area here of the waterfall. But what I'm trying to do this time is I'm also trying to frame up this little water flow that we have right here, as well as including this grass plant and this one right here behind me, so they sort of have that diagonal relationship between them. It's just a bit of a weird filming angle trying to do this, but I'll try and show you what I have on the back of my screen, because that'll give you a better idea of what I'm trying to do here. This is what I've got here, where I have the little pool of water, that one water flow that goes up, the main waterfall in the top corner. This is actually very similar to the one that I took just before, with the grass plant there, then even just to balance it out, there's a little bit of a plant right here. So you sort of have those 3 with the 2 pools and the 2 waterfalls. I think it's sort of a nice change compared to what I've had in the past with this waterfall, where it really was just this little area of the waterfall. I did really like those photos when I took them, but I felt like, I don't know, like they just didn't include enough. Like there needed to be a little bit something more to it, and I'm hoping that this is what I was looking for. I might even have a bit of luck if I just bring the camera down a tiny bit. It might make a really nice low angle wide shot, but I'll see what I can do. Either way, whatever I get, I'll throw it up for you. I'm shooting at 0.8 seconds, f16, ISO 800. here we are, final waterfall of the trip, just above us. Honestly, not feeling too inspired to take any photos of it, because I've pretty much already rinsed this scene well over a year ago, and it hasn't really changed much, so just stopping by to admire the waterfall, enjoy it a bit. And this guy's doing a bit of a leech check because he's been having bad luck all day. He's probably got a few in his boots. So that's pretty much it. We've pretty much hit the end of the Albert River circuit. We got 8 kilometers back until we hit Green Mountains, 3 kilometers till we get to the trailhead, and it's going to be, honestly, a pretty cruisy walk back. I don't think there's going to be much uphill or much downhill. If anything, there'll be a bit of downhill until we get back. But lucky enough to get treated to this amazing view on top of Echo Point Lookout.
I'll stop it.
And it's just looking fantastic. I think I just got a leech inside my shirt, but
really?
That's another matter. Do I?
No.
No, I'm just going crazy. Nah, but yeah, it's been a great hike. It's been great to see these waterfalls again after it's probably been about a year, I'd say. All still looking just as lush as ever. But I think I have one more photo to take. Depends how long this Osmo's battery lasts for. Might not be able to include sunset in the video, but definitely include the last tree, which we should be passing in, I'd say, 25 so minutes. But what time are we at now? What time is it?
3:11.
3:11. So we've been, what is that? 9 hours on the trail. 9 hours on the trail.
Sounds
And it's
about
meant to
right.
be an 8-hour hike. And we still have another 6 kilometers once we get back for our sunset. So still plenty left to do in the day.
Yay.
The day is still young. So yeah, when we get back to that tree, see you guys again. And so this is it, the tree that pretty much every landscape photographer I know goes crazy for. The one that people will pretty much wake up at 3 in the morning just to see the sunrise over. I can honestly see why, and I've taken a photo of this tree every time I've gone past it. I mean, it's just hard to resist. I actually have so many photos that look exactly the same that it's just a bit ridiculous. And the fact of the matter is, I've only really ever posted or published, printed 1 or 2 of them. But nothing's changed this time. We've come back, but we're doing something a little bit different this time. We decided to capture it in infrared. So I'll show you what that looks like on the back of my camera. But I put a black and white profile over it so that you're actually able to see what's on screen. Because without that black and white profile, since it's infrared, all you'd be able to see is the exact same image, but only in shades of red. So all the color work that you've seen on all the previous photos has been done in post, but in reality the photo is entirely made up of red light. But what I've got framed up here is pretty much what you see in front of me, which is just a framed up shot of the entire tree at a wide angle. And when you bring that into infrared and you put a black profile over it, you end up with something like this, which may look like a standard black and white, but what you'll notice with it, and I'll show this in a large photo preview, is that instead of rendering all of the leaves as if they were just black and white representations of their luminosity, they are all just coming up as pure white. Anything that's green, anything that's living, has come up as white. So zooming in on these little tree branches here, any of the moss on the tree, it's all rendered as white. So it's going to be interesting to see what this looks like when it comes out as a final image, because I've only ever shot this one in color, and the most I've ever done is have a polarizer on. But definitely an interesting thing to see, and hopefully it turns out well. The Osmo is currently running low on battery, so this will probably be the last image for the day, but I will hook up with you guys when we get back to the car, and we'll do a little summary of how the day went. So, I'll see you guys then. already, so I thought better than doing an outro in the car, I thought I might as well include the sunset and just do the outro here. So I'm pretty much just gonna try and take a few photos from this spot handheld with the long lens, see what I can get out of it. I mean, the light is looking absolutely amazing at the moment, but I'll leave you here. The Osmo is probably at about 6% battery, I'd say now, so there's not really much point in doing any more pieces to camera. It'll probably just run out in the middle of them. Might even run out soon now. But yeah, it was a great time on the Albert River. We learned a few lessons along the way, like not dropping our bag into water.
Don't do that.
Bringing an extra pair of socks.
Also do that.
But yeah, it was a good time. Hopefully the photos turned out alright. Let me know what you guys think. And yeah, like and comment.